Right there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Games Show, and I hate to do this to you, friends, I really do, but I'm going to have to cut this intro a bit shorter today, and that is all thanks to my company's new time awareness policy. Basically, to cut a long story short, they want productivity up and have sent out an invincible toxic shrew that you'll be able to see here, that if it touches me, I will die. Look at it, right there in the corner, slowly moving towards me. Weird, right? Also, Tom from the team told me that if it touches you, you also moan uncontrollably before you die, and I just do not need that footage on the internet. Oh, actually, just moved again. I'm gonna carry on. Right, just calm down, by the way. It's called Tony, by the way. Tony the toxic shrew. Just, right, moving on. Okay, right. Anyway, so today we're actually talking about video games that contain a mechanic that is somewhat similar to this scenario that I find myself in that they punish players for taking too long in a stage or area. Think the Grim Reaper from Persona, or the Cloaked Flood showing up if you take too long on the final stage of the original Halo. But also don't think about those, because this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby, so we're going to be talking about different examples from much more obscure video games. Okay, right, calm down there, mate, chill. Right, so let's have a chat, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 8 video games that force you to play. Number 8, Alone in the Dark, Zombie Chicken and Zombie Tag Team. Now let's be clear, the original Alone in the Dark is plenty scary enough without its own version of Tony the Toxic Shrew, especially seeing as both protagonists look like they couldn't fight their way into and then out of a snuff box. Hell, Edward over here looks especially non-survival horror ready, what with his big old theme hospital swollen head, but still, they're in a right pickle here and they both need to get a shimmy on if they want to survive. And I do mean that quite literally, because even though resource management and considered use of scarce healing items makes staying alive in this game enough of a trial, if you don't get to step in right at the start of the game, well, there's a chance that you'll be force-fed a game over by 2 different enemies. Now this game kicks off with you having to reinforce both a window and a trapdoor lest you get chomped on by monsters from either, and if you take too long either wrapping your head around the tank controls or trying to discern which massive sharp polygon edges that you're actually playing as, then a zombie chicken or a regular zombie or both will burst through and start attacking. This then challenges you to figure out the finer points of the combat system, which are lacking, to say the least, and will likely cause you to die without really knowing what the hell's just happened. What a great way to start our play session, right? Oh, bloody hell. Number 7, Omega Labyrinth Life, the Reaper. Right, so here's the thing, my friends. The game that I'm going to be talking about today is a deep cut for 2 reasons. 1, for the fact that it's from a lesser-known dungeon crawler series, and 2, because even if you have ever played this game, or just one from the franchise, you probably not want anyone to know about it, and so will deny its existence. And why is that, I hear you cry? Well, because the Omega Labyrinth series combines all the finer parts of roguelike dungeon crawler games with giant anime boobies. Yes, my friends, this is less Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon and more chock full of boobs, and a mystery as to what the hell the devs were actually thinking. Now here's the thing. Oh, actually, Mark, can you turn Tony the Toxic Shrew around? He's too young to witness all of this. Cheers, mate. Right, in this game, when you level up your character, their breasts grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you're the type of person who plays these games, that's probably going to be your main goal over saving the world or whatever paper-thin plot is asking you to do right here. Therefore, you'll end up grinding areas over and over, likely while you grind yourself down to the nerve endings as well. But wait, you hairy palms shut in, don't dawdle, that's a bit harsh, don't dawdle for too long staring at this softcore eroticism, for if you dally playing with your little pally, you'll invoke the wrath of the Reaper. Acting kind of like a more embarrassed for you version of the Reaper from the actual Chocobo Mystery Dungeon games, if you wait too long and ignore the warm breeze warnings that you get, you'll actually find that the Reaper will appear and it can one-shot any party member, so you best get on to the next level of the dungeon and stop staring at and acting like a tit. And while you're going down into the dungeons, have a think about what you're actually doing in this game. Seriously, mate, come on, play something else. Right, you can turn Tony the Toxic Shrew around. Hey, don't step forward again, mate. I've just done you a favour. Number 6, Magician Lord, Deathbringer Brings the Death. Now, it always gives me great pleasure to talk about oft-forgotten games that aren't just curios, but are actually brilliant fun. And trust this egg when I say that Magician Lord for the Neo Geo is a bona fide beat-em-up classic. Also, what the f***'s a Neo Geo? Doesn't matter, because we're too busy kicking ass and looking damn cool in that big brimmed hat, or sometimes as a samurai and sometimes as a ninja. And with levels this vibrant and a soundtrack this bloody catchy, you'll be pouring at the screen for more Magician Lord. and also for more lives because this game is insanely hard at times. Still, it turns out that there's another hefty dose of death and dumb game design awaiting players who just want to take a break from the relentless action and smoke some of that Radagast pipeweed, if you know what I'm saying. If you take too long in any given stage, then an absolute buzzkill in the form of a demon called Deathbringer will appear and start hunting you down through the stage. And much like the government looking for tax back pay, it will not stop and somehow knows where you are at all times. And that, kids, is why I live in a bunker. Hell, I don't even live in Wales. I'm actually in Barbados right now. This is a fake screen behind me. Or am I? No, I'm in Wales, that's all I could afford. But what makes matters somehow even worse than instant death if you touch this deadly demon is the fact that due to an oversight by the devs on the Neo Geo version, if you use one of your extra lives to continue fighting, you spawn in without invincibility frames, meaning that you immediately will be killed by the demon again, and again, and again, and so on until you run out of lives and the game is over completely. Fine, geez, okay, I guess we'll be moving on to the next level then. God, talk about hammering home a point, right? Right, okay, it looks like Tony's on his mandated lunch break here, so I'm gonna sneak in a quick message for help and also just say something else. The first being that I want to say thank you to those that have subbed to the channel. It means a ton to all of us, and if you want to help out, then consider subscribing as well so you can stay notified for all of our gaming content that we put out every single day. And two, seriously, what the f is up with this? The use of an actual death-dealing rodent? Is that even legal? Oh, he's waking back up again. Okay, right, on with the next entry. Number 5, Resident Evil Survivor 2, Nemesis. Right, okay. I know that putting a Resident Evil game on a deep cut episode might seem like I'm taking the piss through a curly straw, but come on, gang, let's be real with each other here. There's very little chance the kids of today even remember what a bloody PS2 was, and even less so that there was a sequel to a, let's be honest here, mediocre at best shoot-'em-up spin-off series from the Resident Evil franchise. But let's be real though, I want people to know more about this game because I actually really enjoyed my time with this, far more so than with the original Survivor game, and I don't know why. Survivor 2 is really not a great game itself. Maybe it's the awkward charm that the clunky controls give off. Maybe it's the fact that it looks great for a PS1 game until you remember it's on the PS2. Or maybe it's just because how can you say no to a face like that, eh? Oh, gross, get it away. Or maybe, just maybe, it's because our old pal Nemesis shows up if you p*** away your time for too long in a given area. And I, for one, love old burnt-faced man here / bin bag pepper army man here from the remake. And here, he acts as an unkillable, unstoppable force that will chase you through the level once your timer hits 0. And I will say this for the game, it's at these points that we hit a true moment of survival horror. As battling against the remaining enemies, the tank controls themselves, and Nemesis all at once, well, that is far scarier than pretty much anything else in the franchise. So yes, this game often smells like Nemesis that's been left out in the sun for too long, but boy howdy is this one scenario a kick up the arse for the ages that will have you getting on the move or die trying. Number 4, Battlezone. From 1980. Right, time to warm up that egg-shaped time machine as we're travelling back to the dawn of mankind's desire to never go outside again. That's right, we are going back to the early 1980s, or literally 1980, to witness the earliest era of gaming and talk about Battlezone. Now this game, while looking like you're viewing the world through X-ray specs that you bought off of Temu, was revolutionary for the time, as it was one of the first titles to incorporate 3D graphics into the mix, and it was so popular that even the US Army commissioned a custom version of this as a training program for their tank drivers called the Bradley Trainer. Good old Bradley. Although the jury is still out as to whether the Bradley Trainer also utilised an anti-idling mechanic that was in the original game that forced players to get into the action at all times. But you see, if you just wanted to sit back and let the other tanks duke it out or just admire the lush, like Vib Ribbon style world around you, then you would actually put yourself at risk of the game spawning in a homing rocket that would begin tracking you until you got back into the fight. And as you might expect, it was a one-hit KO. So get back into the killing field, son. There ain't no time to be considering what a stickman-like funeral would be for all those that you killed in these line-based wars. Just don't even think about it. Fight, kill, don't think, just move and kill. Number 3, Kamen Rider for the schneers. The bosses get harder. So Tony's closing in quite a lot right now, so I'm actually gonna have to rush through these final 2 entries. Now, as we've discovered in this episode, there are plenty of games that will throw super tough, if not straight up unkillable enemies at you once a timer hits 0, forcing you to leave the area that you're in. However, in the Kamen Rider video game for the schneers, the devs took a rather different approach by showcasing how speeding through levels could actually make things significantly easier. As you play, you'll notice a little meter at the bottom reading boss, and no, this isn't referring to some 80s slang and how you're boss in the game like the champ that you are, but is in fact the boss of each stage's health, and it rising is showing them growing in power. Therefore, rather than punish you with some somewhat bullshit deaths, here you can actively see how hanging around or taking your time to finish off enemies is only going to make things worse for you in the long run. Plus, if you're a pro at this game, then smashing through sections and getting to the boss early becomes its own reward. As now, it's kind of like they were partway through their all-powerful transformation speech and you just kicked down their door, walked up to them and gone, "Urgh," right in the head. And they've just gone, "Oh, my nose. That was very cruel. I was just doing a speech about how I believe I will conquer the world. Yeah, that's why I kicked the door down. I'm trying to stop you. Oh, it seems that you and I will always be at odds. May we make peace? Split some bread with me?" Poison bread, isn't it? You saw through my ruse. Well, no, you're called the evil devilish baker. You're the devil baker. I could see that coming a mile off. Yes, fair enough. Ever thought about that though? Batman villains? I know this is completely off tangent. They always have like a gimmick, they always have a theme. It makes them very easy to know who's done what. It's not like, oh, is it a national holiday today? Oh, it's probably Calendar Man. Well, it's probably not going to be the Joker. I mean, the Joker does it all the time, doesn't he? Joker's a bit random, isn't it? Who else says that? Like Kite Man. Oh, it's a Gust-related. Yeah, okay, fair enough, I'm moving on. Number 2, Wolverine Adamantium Rage, LCD sound system. That's a joke you'll understand in a minute. Well now, this next entry is just plain bloody terrifying, and I say that as a man who has played Dynasty Warriors 6 and Renbu system, so I have seen some scary shit, right? So before we introduce our next walking therapy bill, let's talk about this. Wolverine Adamantium Rage, a lesser celebrated SNES title which offered a pretty decent example of old Knucklehead's abilities of wanton destruction. Yet despite the healing factor provided to him by his pretty outstanding mutant abilities, there does seem to be one form of damage that Wolverine can't shrug off. Well, at least in the SNES version of this game, and it does come in a rather horrifying package. Now see friends, this is LCD. That's her name. LCD, do you get it? You will, because she's a robot. That makes more sense now, doesn't it? And she's an evil robot with one thing on her mind, and trust me, it ain't stamp collecting. In the comics, she was designed as a living bomb with the sole goal of getting close to Wolverine and then detonating all the C4 that was packed inside her body. And for some ungodly reason, the devs chose this character to act as a hurry the X up bub mechanic, as she'll appear if you spend too long killing enemies that are required to leave the stage. Yeah, there's like a weird mechanic here where you've got to kill a set amount of enemies in order to go. It's like he has a murder quota to fill, which is just odd. Float ominously towards you, and should she touch Wolverine, you get the horrible image of a small girl exploding next to him and a game over. Rough, right? But what's even more of a sour note is when you consider that on the Mega Drive version, you didn't have to put up with any of this bull. I mean, sure, LCD shows up, but you're also given a timer warning and also a locator to show how close she is to you. Plus, if she does connect, you only lose one life rather than an instant game over. Therefore, you have to think that the devs on the SNES side were really trying to force you to play the game and just get out of Dodge, as why would they make it this much harder? And number 1, Rave Master, Special Attack Force, Drive-By Tootin'. Right, okay, so you've seen that the evil Finger Temple of Doom is out once more, and that means that I've been a bit of a stinker with this last entry, and I do mean that quite literally this time around, because the way that this game motivates you to engage with it is through fear of being farted on. No, I'm not kidding. This, my friends, is Rave Master Special Attack Force for the Game Boy Advance, and while like 99% of this game is a pretty competent fighter with some actually pretty decent cool back and forth minigame sequences thrown into it to spice up combat, the remaining 1% of it is based around a special gassy game over that you get if you take too long in a stage. Now, if you get a timeout in an area, let me check my notes here, the big butt bandits will appear and release such a collective toxic crop dusting that it kills everybody in the arena and nobody wins the round, and you are just left there with your mouth agape wondering what the hell happened. And actually, to close your mouth, because that's a lot of particles that are now filling the area. Don't want any of that. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Jules, you absolute claggy nugget of a man. How does this absolute floater of a game over force you to play? Well, my friends, I'll tell you. Because I never want to see the big butt bandits and their gaping holes ever again. So do me a favor and try to finish these battles quickly next time, alright? Good. Good? Good. Bit of a cop-out on the ending there, but I just could not include it. It's literally been farted on as game over. What do you want to do? Sometimes just gold lands in your lap. sometimes it stinks. Sometimes you just gotta work with it. Oh, okay, fine. I think I made it through the episode. Tony is very, very close now, but if I close out, he should go back home. There is a taxi out there waiting for him, so I'm assuming he's got other places to be. So let's just wrap up the ending here. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Hope that you enjoyed this episode, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. And if you want to chat to me on the social medias, you can do so over here on Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, and you can follow my lovely editor Mark over on his social media over here as well. But before I go, and you will not stop me from this, my friend, I actually want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about games that force you to play, that pressure you, let's talk about lowering that pressure, my friend. Giving yourself a bit of a break every single day, because you deserve the best things in life, like love, happiness, and success. And sometimes the best way to achieve these is not to actively engage and jump into situations without thinking, but to give yourself that bit of space to look at situations around you and think, is this the right way of dealing with them? Do I need help? Those are important questions to ask, my friend, and it is okay to say, yes, I do need help, all right? I just want the best for you, all right? So don't rush in, take your time, plan, and then act, all right? As always, I've been Jules. Oh God, he's getting very close. You've been awesome, my friends, and I'll see you next week on the... Oh, no!